thing. So Trump and Putin met, and we knew that this meeting was basically just for optics. Putin said that he's not giving up 1 inch of the Donbass region that they already hold. And he said that he would only do a ceasefire and agreement if all of the Donbass is under the umbrella of the protection of the Soviet Republic. I think Soviet is a republic, yeah. Not Soviet Republic, but the Russian Republic. So it's clear that he's not going to give up 1 inch. And also he wants those parts. He also said that any agreement would have to agree that annexed Crimea still belongs to them. But he's open to giving up Kherson and Zaporozhye, because those one really, they're not part of the Donbass. Those are the parts that he's encroached in their land. So basically what he's saying is that he won't overtake all of Ukraine. He'll keep the part. And we want to add that the Donbass in these areas, before Putin even came in, they already said they wanted to be part of the Russian Republic instead. And they had a valid argument because there was an undemocratic and unconstitutional overthrow of the president of Ukraine, who was Russian speaking. And that's what caused the civil war. But we're not going to talk about that today. Now, we knew that Putin wasn't going to give up an inch. And why should he give up an inch when he's winning the war? And when there are already sanctions on Russia and their economy is doing well, so they have no motivation to go back and break their ties with BRICS to do business with America, since America has taken them out. Now, Zelensky has continuing saying that it will be unpatriotic and unconstitutional for him to give back any land, which means the Donbass, whatever little part of the Donbass that he does hold. So we'll argue about the validity of that overall. But what I want to say is what we really learned from this meeting, though, is that connections between America and Russia have improved greatly. During Biden's time in office, no meeting, no anything. And we were just a few steps. I didn't think it would ever happen, but we were a few steps away from having a hot war between the U.S. and Russia and NATO, and maybe even a nuclear war in which they would use tactical nukes, which aren't as devastating. So there's been improvements. To see Trump and Putin standing there cordially. And then on top of that, Trump mentioned no more sanctions, and Trump and Putin mentioned the possibility of the U.S. and Russia finally beginning to trade. My prediction is that in the next 2 or 3 years, sanctions will be taken off of Russia for only one reason. America needs to do trade with Russia. They need to do trade with China. These are the global powers. So this movement that Biden and the liberals started, this Russophobia and this targeting of Russia, is over. So to me, that's the news they're not telling you in the news. They're saying, Trump is a traitor to Ukraine. Ukraine is not part of America. They don't want to make it sound like he's giving Putin too much. He's not giving Putin anything. He's saying that he wants to be broker the deal. He's not saying that Ukraine should give part of that Donbass back to Russia, but he's saying that he's there to broker it if the two of them can agree. And to keep it realistically, that part, the Donbass is already taken. So Ukraine should give up the Donbass. It's just a matter of how many more lives will be lost before Russia gets the rest of it. And if they don't do a broker or ceasefire, not only will they do that, they'll take Zaporozhye and Kherson, and maybe even continue going closer and closer to Kiev. So this is a good deal, and it shows what is good news is that America and Russia, at least, are not hostile to each other. For the fact that Putin came on American soil during a period in which the International Court has an arrest warrant for him, and he still came to America because America is not part of the ICC, and they didn't arrest him. This is good news for anybody who wants stability between two powerhouses that we don't want to be fighting. You know what they say in Nigeria, when two elephants fight in the forest, the rest of us motherfuckers get trampled. We don't want to see these countries aggressing each other. And for Ukraine, sorry. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, that was where I wanted to start. It's just unfortunate. I'll have to tell Zelensky sorry, but he caused it. I mean, he got Biden to give him a sense of false.
Yeah, Biden told him we have your back.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut in front of you. They warned you before. They said it's dangerous to be an enemy of America. It's fatal to be a friend. No, never listen to America when they tell you that we got your back to get into a war. Go ahead.
Exactly. So he was encouraged into believing that he would come out of this with something positive. And all of a sudden, Zelensky is the one that looks most screwed in all this agreement. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, look at the kind of things Russia is asking for. They're asking for that Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant.
No, they're going to give up Zaporizhzhia. They said they may give up Zaporizhzhia.
And that's Zaporizhzhia is all Ukraine can boast of. They power about 20% of Ukraine's electricity. Yeah. Once Russia takes control of that, they have essentially ceded their sovereignty. And it's all because of Zelensky's stupidity in believing Biden and being encouraged into persisting a war that they never even won from day one. And like you rightly mentioned, it appears that Trump and Putin are now on the same page, and the only deal on ground that can even help Zelensky, as embarrassing as it looks, is the one that they have proposed to him now. That is the only peace deal that can work.
Yeah, and he'll get to keep.
But he will be regretting his flirtations with Biden, I guess.
Yeah. And I also want to add that all of this started because, I'm going to repeat this, Biden as vice president and Obama as president funded money to the Ukraine to cause the Maidan revolution, which overthrew a democratically elected government, which was backed mostly by people from the Donbass and that region because they're Russian speaking. So it was one country, but there was a coup. And as soon as the coup was over, that part of the country said, we no agree. And so what America did was funded it. And 14,000 people have been killed in Donbass in those areas, which gave, whether it's right or wrong, it gave Russia the leverage to come and help these people. They're saying we're intervening on their behalf. Russia was never planning to take Kiev and that part. They were planning to help the part of the country which was marginalized and had their rights violated. It'll be just like if we have an election in which a Yoruba person wins and then runs money to the part of the country that's not Yoruba to help them overthrow our president. And then we say, then when a country comes to help the Yoruba people, they say, oh, you're jumping into a country that's not your country. True. But the problem was started by the Western Ukrainians who couldn't accept the fact that they didn't have a president in office. And the U.S. funded it is because the Russian-speaking president of Ukraine was going to start entering into agreements with Russia rather than the EU. This war was started by the EU and America because they were jealous of the fact that Russia and Ukraine were going to be involved in business. What are your thoughts, Kunle?
Yeah. Yes, well, it's been an interesting, first of all, let me start off with the summit. The optics are not just optics. They are a lot more than that. I mean, if you remember with the brinkmanship in the Cuban Missile Crisis between Khrushchev and Kennedy. And that continued with the détente during the Brezhnev era. And that created a détente when the two leaders of America and Russia tried to meet more often, even if they didn't accomplish anything. That cooling off, that détente, made it a lot easier for America and Russia to get on. And
don't speak grammar for this house. Don't speak grammar for this house. No speak grammar.
It all kicked off again after that. But prior to that, so what Trump has done, he's created a second détente in what is becoming a second Cold War, which has its main focus around the Ukraine. When we look at the strategic part for Russia.
But he's actually making situations better. Are you saying he's creating a new Cold War? To me, it's the opposite. He met with Putin.
I'm saying about the relationship between America and Russia. Now, going back to the actual war itself, the person that's going to win out of this is really Russia. Russia has had the time to secure what it wants. Now, what Russia is demanding that they want to take, I think they're in a position to take it, even if Ukraine says no, they can take it anyway. So what's the point? And most of what they want to hold on to what they've taken and take back areas in which they are already popular. And
but here's one thing: Russia might be ready to concede Kherson and Zaporozhye, though. They may be willing to give that back. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. So they're willing to give something back in order to gain something else. And Trump doesn't have to be a genius to see that this is a window of opportunity for him to insist that Ukraine make peace, because Russia can even come and say, okay, even if what Russia is giving back is not much, it's still Russia is giving back something. That has a big impact on people who are ignorant on the meaning of what that is, and they just see it as trade for trade. I think that this is one of those things, one of those victories for Donald Trump. He has been quite.
Donald Trump, and you know what? The only losses that Donald Trump has had is with China, and also that he looks bad in the U.S. for being authoritarian. But we have to say that during Trump's regime, he's a lot more competent than Biden was. Whether you agree with his policies or not, at least he's vigorous. And he takes some losses, he takes some wins, but he's active, he's vigorous, he's doing something. You know what they say? A bad decision is better than no decision. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I quite agree, because, I mean, he's working within the handicap of having to work within a Zionist system. So you can only do so good. There's a limit to how much good you can do before you have to start appeasing this foreign lobby. And given his limitations, he has done quite well. But as we know, American politicians, until they free themselves of the Israeli lobby, they are not really able to act for America primarily. They're going to be stuck to act for Israel primarily. So they need to find a way around those problems. But Trump has done very well. He's shown himself to be far more competent and capable than Biden. However, this does not give the Republicans a strength in the next election, especially if Trump isn't running for them. I think that the next election is a free-for-all. And I think that if a third party is able to come out that's able to say, I am not AIPAC-backed,
MAGA,
you know, whatever it is, any party that is able to have enough sufficient backing behind it that is clearly not AIPAC-backed will win the next election.
Well, you know who was supposed to be the successful party to do that? Can you guess? You know what party actually does that? But they've silenced them. The Green Party. That's actually was supposed to be the party of the future for American left movement. But they've silenced.
For the two mainstream parties. So since you can't get a third party that can do that, you need to grow grassroots in the two mainstream parties.
Yeah.
Two mainstream parties need to grow pro-American politicians.
Well, there's MAGA. So now we're waiting on the Democratic Party to find one. Mandani, maybe Mandani.
Democrats will say America first. Republicans say America. Even if the slogan had no meaning under Trump, or it was something it needs to be adopted by the two parties for America to survive. And when America put its interest first before Israel, it would actually benefit the world, because America would now be able to act and operate in the same way that China does, in the sense that China wants everyone to be rich so that they can pay them more money.
Win-win.
Win-win. Yeah.
And that's
the only way America can win is through win-win, because we live in a global world and we consume too much. The only way America can win is if the rest of the world wins. And that's what China knows, because what China does is they even forgive loans. They'll give loans to countries like Angola and say, build your train and we have business. And when Angola can't pay it back, they say, it doesn't matter because now we're in business with you, so we're making profit anyway.
Precisely. I mean, if you make Nigeria rich and then most people can buy a car, you just created the 200 million people who can buy cars in Nigeria. You're making yourself rich. Nigerians are rich, they're able to, and everyone wins. That's the idea. That's the Chinese idea.
This is actually true globalism. What we had before wasn't globalism. It was imperialism. It wasn't free trade. It wasn't real globalism. This is true globalism now, where each country has bargaining tools and we're all forced to cooperate. This is the true globalism that's coming.
Yeah, where you go is wonderful. You see the perfect version of Nigeria, the perfect version of Congo. Everywhere you go is different but fantastic. That's the Commonwealth that we want to build for the world. Everybody.
The French will be our houseboys.
That's what we want.
They have no resources. The French will be our houseboys. No, the French have beautiful language, so they can make books on how to learn French. That's the only thing.
But like everywhere, and you always want to go home, but everywhere is nice. That's the ideal utopian scenario for the world that we want. And then we can go and start doing our nonsense when we colonize other planets.
And let me tell you, what's happening in Palestine is going to cause deaths all over the world, because the Palestinians will become the #1 terrorists all over the world now, because they're going to remember. So the point I'm making is that you don't want to see any part of the world where there's oppression, because it will eventually come back to your own shores. What are your thoughts, Kunle?
Actually, because I was going to say that all this Hamas. How was Hamas? Who formed Hamas? Hamas was formed by a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old, 3 kids who hid amongst the dead bodies of their relatives and family members during the 1956 Gaza massacre. Those 3 kids went on to form Hamas. How many kids have been hiding amongst death squads now in this war that are going to form Hamas?
Also in Syria and Lebanon too. So we live in one global village. So that's why we want win-win, because until there's justice around the world, there won't be justice in any inch of the world. Yeah,
and no matter how many numbers you get down, it only takes one person to press a bomb. So I mean, you cannot wipe them all.
Don't fuck with Kim Jong-il. That's the guy. Don't fuck with him, man.
Just like Israel and its Samson directive that says if you bomb Israel to hell, they'll launch 100 nuclear missiles all over the world.
Israel should exist, but Palestine should exist too. Let both countries exist.
Yeah, it should.
It's because it is an apartheid state. Apartheid should not be allowed to exist.
Thank you very much. Beautiful show. Any last thoughts, Afolabi? Then take us out, Afolabi.
Yeah, you only have some security concerns with Putin's promise of no more attacks. I tend to believe he may not lack any credibility, because this may actually set a precedent in Europe for the lesser nations feeling that Russia can always have their way through this kind of aggression. I just feel he keeps to his word and his promises. Also, this Zaporizhia...
Not offensive, sorry.
Yeah, what I wanted to even add was that this nuclear facility that he wants actually controls a lot of Ukraine's electricity. He could use this as a way of manipulating them or some kind of economic leverage. So I'm a bit concerned with those, basically.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that on the other day. Yeah, so you can take us out of Harvey here.
Okay, it's been another brilliant political show. We've been discussing a lot of issues, and particularly from South Africa and now in Europe. And from me, Mustafa and Kule, we'll be back again next week.
Okay, Kule and Afolabi, we're doing Man U 8:15. And Man U response.
About to kick off in about 20 minutes. The
But at 8:15, we'll do the response.